In the heart of Africa, where golden savannas stretch as far as the eye can see, and the winds whisper secrets of ancient times, stands a tree like no other, the Baobab. It is a tree so massive that a circle of people holding hands could barely wrap around its trunk. Its branches, thick and twisted, look like roots reaching for the sky. Some say the gods planted it upside down. Others believe it is the bridge between the heavens and the earth. The Baobab is not just a tree. It is a witness to time itself. It has stood for thousands of years, watching over kings and queens, warriors and travelers, farmers and storytellers. In one such village, under the shade of a great baobab, a young girl named Zina often sat with her grandfather, Baba Kwame. He was a storyteller, a guardian of the village's history. Every evening, children and elders gathered beneath the ancient tree to hear him speak. "Grandfather," Zina asked one day, placing her small hand on the tree's rough bark, "why do we call the baobab the tree of life?" Baba Kwame smiled, his deep-set eyes reflecting the glow of the setting sun. "Ah, my child," he said, his voice as smooth as the evening breeze. "The baobab is no ordinary tree. It carries the spirit of Africa. It is our past, our present, and our future." The children leaned in closer, eager for the story to begin. Long ago, before cities and roads covered the land, a terrible drought swept across the land. The rivers dried up, the lakes shrank, and the wells became empty. The sun burned the earth, turning green fields into cracked, dusty plains. The people and animals grew weak with thirst. Mothers prayed for rain, while fathers searched for water in distant lands. One evening, the village gathered beneath the baobab, seeking wisdom from the elders. The chief, his voice filled with sorrow, spoke. "Our people are suffering. The land is thirsty, and we have no water. What shall we do?" Silence filled the air, heavy like a storm waiting to break. Then an old woman named Mama Nala, the village healer, stepped forward. She was known for her deep connection to nature, for speaking with the spirits of the land. She placed her wrinkled hands on the baobab and whispered, "Great tree, you have stood for many centuries. Will you not share your wisdom with us?" For a moment, nothing happened. Then, drip, 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 a trickle of water began to seep from the tree's trunk. The people gasped as fresh, cool water flowed from within. They cupped their hands, drinking deeply, their strength returning. From that day on, the baobab became the well of life. Even today, in times of drought, those who know its secrets can find water hidden inside its mighty trunk. Zina's eyes widened. The baobab gives water, even today? Elder Kofi nodded. "Yes, my child, it still does." The baobab was not just a giver of water. It was also a keeper of wisdom. For centuries, in villages across Africa, from Senegal to Madagascar, from Mali to Tanzania, the baobab has been a gathering place. Beneath its wide shade, elders have told stories of creation, warriors have planned battles, and kings have made great decisions. The baobab listens, Elder Kofi explained. It has heard the laughter of children, the cries of warriors, and the prayers of the people. It remembers. In some villages, the baobab is a palaver tree, a place where justice is served. Elders gather beneath it to resolve conflicts, reminding people that truth, like a tree's roots, must run deep. Even today, people still hold meetings, ceremonies, and festivals under the baobab. It remains a symbol of unity, of wisdom passed down from generation to generation. Zina placed her hand on the trunk. "Does the baobab remember me too, grandfather?" He chuckled. "Of course, little one. It remembers all who come to it with an open heart." One day, a traveler from a faraway land arrived in the village. He gazed up at the baobab and laughed. "This tree looks like it was planted upside down," he said. The villagers smiled, for they had heard this before. "Ah," Elder Kofi said, "there is a story about that. Long ago, when the world was young, the baobab was proud and boastful. It declared itself the most beautiful tree in the land. The gods, amused by its pride, plucked it from the earth and planted it upside down, so its roots reached toward the heavens as a lesson in humility. But others say something different. They say the baobab is not upside down at all. Instead, it is a bridge between earth and sky, past and future, ancestors and the living. Its roots dig deep into history, while its branches stretch toward the unknown. Even today, many African spiritual traditions hold the baobab as sacred. In Senegal, griots, keepers of oral history, perform beneath its shade. In Madagascar, some believe the souls of ancestors dwell inside its trunk. In South Africa, it is called the Tree of Life, for the many gifts it gives. Zina gasped. "The baobab is magic." Elder Kofi smiled. "It is more than magic, my child. It is life itself." Years passed, and Zina grew into a wise woman. She traveled across Africa, and everywhere she went, she found baobabs still standing. She saw healers using baobab leaves to cure fevers. She met women making baobab oil to nourish their skin. She tasted baobab fruit, rich in vitamins, giving strength to those who ate it. She sat with elders beneath its shade, listening to their stories. She watched children play around its trunk, just as she had once done. One evening, as she stood before an ancient baobab, she whispered, "Thank you." A soft wind rustled through the branches as if the tree was whispering back, "Remember me." As the years passed, the villagers learned that the baobab was more than just a giver of water and wisdom. It was a guardian. One year, the sky turned dark, and storms raged across the land. The winds howled, and the rain poured down in heavy sheets. Many huts collapsed, and the people feared their homes would be washed away. But the baobab stood firm. Its massive roots held the soil in place, preventing the village from flooding. When the storm passed, the people gathered around the tree, touching its bark in gratitude. "Do you see, my child?" Baba Kwame said to Zina. "The baobab does not run from the storm. It stands strong and protects us." Zina thought deeply. "Then we must protect it too," she said. Baba Kwame nodded. "Yes, my child. We must never forget that we belong to the land, just as the baobab belongs to us." Even today, in many parts of Africa, baobabs help prevent desertification, keeping the land fertile and strong. One day, a young boy named Tunda fell ill. His body burned with fever, and no medicine seemed to help. His mother, desperate to save him, went to Mama Amara, the village healer. Mama Amara nodded and walked to the baobab. She plucked fresh leaves and mixed them into a tea. She also took baobab fruit, rich in vitamins, and made a sweet, tangy drink. Tunde drank the mixture, and within days his strength returned. Zina, watching closely, asked Baba Kwame, How does the baobab heal? The baobab is a gift from the ancestors, he replied. Its leaves cure fevers, its fruit gives strength, and its bark can soothe wounds. Even today, scientists study the baobab's medicinal properties, proving what African healers have known for centuries. Zina grew older and traveled across Africa, seeing baobabs standing in cities, in remote villages, in dry deserts, and in lush forests. She met people who still gathered beneath them, who still drank from their water, and who still believed in their wisdom. But she also saw something sad. Some baobabs were being cut down. She returned to her village, worried. "Grandfather, if the baobabs disappear, what will happen to us?" Baba Kwame's face grew serious. "If the baobabs disappear, we lose our history, our medicine, and our protector. But as long as we remember their story, they will never truly die." Zina knew what she had to do. She began teaching children about the baobab, telling them its stories, just as Baba Kwame had told her. Together, they planted new baobabs, ensuring the next generation would have their own trees of life. The baobab is not just a tree. It is a teacher, a healer, a protector, and a symbol of Africa's strength and wisdom. It has stood for thousands of years, and it will continue to stand for generations to come. If you ever see a baobab, stop for a moment. Touch its bark. Feel its presence. Listen. It has a story to tell.